Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Starting From Scratch podcast with me, your host, John Kleisch, on episode number 20. 2020. We did it. 20 episodes deep, and we had 290 downloads. Last week was huge for downloads. I can't believe it. I think that was the most we've ever had in a single week, which is fun and exciting and awesome. And on top of it, I did not release an episode last week, and that's all on me. I wanted to update one every single week. I had a backups saved for future dates. They got eaten up. I was out of town last week. Shame on me. Just couldn't get it done. For the record, I am still alive, and I am not a billionaire. I had some listeners reach out and say, hey, missing a podcast. Are you dead? Did you become a billionaire and skip town and are no longer recording podcasts? No, I am alive and I am not a billionaire. If I was a billionaire, I would probably do more of these, to be honest, and less actual work because this is a lot of fun. So this episode, I want to go over some active deals that I am hunting. I have two particular ones that definitely fit the bill of deals, and what I would like to do is just go over those in not fantastic detail, just a quick overview, give you a rundown, how I found them, what they are, what they look like, what they need, and then I want to talk about if I should do them or not, which is I guess the big question. I have heard a phrase that's from real estate that says you can go broke buying great deals. And that never made sense to me for a while. And then, because mostly I was doing wholesale deals, right? When you're doing wholesale deals, you're not sinking money into these puppies. You're taking these things, you're just selling the paper, moving the contracts, bada boom, bada bing. And then I started fixing flipping houses, and we decided to do 2 or 3 at once. And not like we decided, hey, we're going to do 3 at once. We just had great deals. They were fantastic. They were $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 wholesale fees. We were looking at these on the flip side of things going, shoot, we can make more than double that. We don't really flip houses, but we should for some reason. Granted, they all worked out. However, it got scary there for a minute, and now that saying of going broke buying good deals really came to fruition. We had, $300,000-$400,000 of our business, our own capital. This was our own actual cash, operating cash we had into these flips, and everything was going great. Like I mentioned, we bought them very, very deep, so we felt well protected. However, what we weren't expecting in this time is this was when, I forget the exact date, 2022, and the market shifted and the party ended and the rates went up a little bit. It was right during that time, and then towards the end of the year, the holidays happened right when we list these things, and we were paying somewhere to the tune of probably close to $10,000 a month in interest payments. So we were out a ton of capital. We were paying over $10,000 a month in interest. The market was turning. Wholesale deals dried up. We're running out of cash. Business isn't doing good. Flips are sitting on the market. Right? So exhibit A on how you can go broke buying good deals. And as of late, I think I even mentioned this, I have not been super interested in going out and getting into more deals because, 1.5 of the 2 deals that I own are not stabilized quite yet. So that's a little bit, discomforting, uncomfortable, something to that nature, right? One of those words. But, so do I really want to go out and get into more deals? And specifically, these deals do need some work. So that's the big question. So what I'll do is go into these the deal details, and then we can talk about that. So Both of these deals were listed online. They both came from brokers. One was a new one that I called out of the blue, and then the other one came from the broker that we closed grand with. He knows me really well. He's listing the office for us for lease. And then, so he knows what's up. He knows I close deals and he likes working with me. I like working with him. Shout out, Preston, you the man. So, first, let's go over the first one first. We do these Thursday calls with the coaching program that I joined, and everyone just goes out, finds a few deals that are active on the market, and we all call them together so we can kind of see what everyone's doing, what they're saying, how they're working, these conversations. And it's really great and it's really helpful. And really, that's the only reason I'm out there looking for more deals is just for those calls. It's always nice to get out there and get the reps in, practice, and especially part of that program, I want to show up and be a participant, and of course, run into some deals here. So I act like that's a bad thing, right? Oh, shame on John. He's got too many deals. Oh, but so this one's a retail, which I was funny that before I even started looking for the brokers to call, I was like, man, we got an industrial building, we got an office building. Now it's time to do some retail. Check out some retail. I want to get a retail building. And sure enough, here it is. Pictures show it. It's old, it's rotten, it's dirty. The deal with this one, let me start from the top. So it's like 21,000 square feet. It is located right on Thomas Road near the 51, a couple miles away from the 51. So it is a very, I would say, half and half area. It's, if you're not familiar with Phoenix, it's one of those areas where it's becoming gentrified. There are homeless people pretty regularly up and down the block. There are also a $10-15 million homes a mile or two away in Arcadia. There are also other very nice neighborhoods that are 800-900 grand for little tiny houses that are historic and things like that. Very cool coffee shops, restaurant, bars, hipster, whatever the new phrases are, the yuppies, that type of area. Not anything I'm particularly interested in living or visiting for numerous reasons. However, it's still a really cool area. I like it. I actually first moved down to Scottsdale when I first moved to Arizona, and that was, I don't know, maybe 2 miles away from that. Okay, yeah, so Old Town Scottsdale is near there too. Really cool area, major thoroughway. The 51 is right there, so people are coming and going past that. I forget the amounts of cars, 40, 50, 60,000 cars per day, somewhere in that range. So a very busy area. This was owned by a family for a very, 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 very long time, multiple decades. The matriarch of the family has passed away, and it is left to their children, which are adult children, well adults, like in their 60s. And you can imagine they've had the same tenants in there forever. Their market rent is $16-17 a foot. They're at the $8 range. It's half vacant. The ones that are there are just these kind of rundown businesses that are probably barely scraping by, would be my guess. And it's disheveled. The awnings on this thing are just rotten, huge tears, rips flopping in the wind, baked by the sun. Drywall is coming off, lights are falling down, windows are boarded up on some of these. It's that bad. You walk inside these vacant units and it smells old, it smells musty. One of them even had grass growing up inside, in between the foundation and the wall, which obviously, if grass is growing up there, there's stuff that needs to get repaired, right? So this is a building that I would normally be chomping at the bit on. It does need a lot of work, which, half of it needs a roof. It's going to need a bunch of ACs. It's going to need a bunch of freshening up. There's probably a bunch of mold in there that has to get redone. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'm posting a video on that, a whole walkthrough with pictures and everything like that. These are deals that I love because these are the ones that fit the bill. You can get in there. You can repurpose the building. You can stabilize it, remodel it, get it up to market rent, and then, you can double your money in about 3-ish years, 3 to 5 years. 5 would be long, 3 would be normal. And I like those kind of deals. However, this one is a little bit dirtier. Do I want to say that? Not really. It's really not much more than grand. However, it's double the size. So double the size, double the budget. There are other things that I probably haven't seen yet that are need to get redone. Now, another reason why I like this is that and the back of one of the units, it's technically 2 separate buildings. On the back of one of those buildings, there is, I don't know, a half acre of just dirt lot back there. And I feel like there is some major potential for that back lot. The broker, who I believe is probably pretty right, he's a retail expert. He says what you want to do is get a restaurant, coffee shop, bar, something like that in the units, and then they can use that parking, or they can use that lot behind it as parking, which is perfect because it's huge. Now, there is parking in the front, but there's like 30, 40 spots, maybe most. So restaurant, bar, no way they'd be able to park up there. There's just not going to happen, no way. So having extra parking in the back would be extremely viable. Now, this is a deal where I see it as being excellent down the road. Like in 10, 15 years, this is going to be a banger of a deal. It'll probably be worth $10 million. You could probably scrape that lot and put up something crazy. I don't know whether it would be to rezone it into apartments, build it into a better retail center. The list goes on. The lot is huge. You could do almost whatever you want. Across the street was this famous, I forget what store, some kind of furnishing store, which is this huge lot. It's like 5 acres, 7 acres or something. I'm surprised the store like that was able to sustain such a large building, but I guess it was a staple in the Phoenix area for decades, a family-owned business or something like that. They just got bought out. That building got bought out by a developer, and they have full approval to build 350 units right across the street. So that's why I like that deal. That potential just seems massive. And in 10 years, maybe even less, probably on that 5-year mark, anyone who buys that building and holds it for that long is just going to be super thankful that they did. I feel like everything is kind of just moving down west towards the 51, and it would be great to get a piece of that and be a part of that. So those are all the benefits, right? And we all know the downsides. Let's see here. They want $3.5 million. That's crazy. That's not going to happen. Not at all. They are not really interested in seller finance. So finding conventional banking on a commercial property that is half vacant, not cash flowing, and is receiving about a quarter of the revenue that it should be getting. That's dilapidated. That's been sitting. That needs all this work. That's a task in and of itself. I don't even want to do that, to be honest, right now with everything that I have going on. So that's what's stacked up against this. And then we need to raise, gee whiz, $500,000 for the rehab, and down payment. Let's say even if we got it for 2.5, that's another $500,000. We need to raise $1 million for this deal. So again, those are the downsides. The first beginning part of this sounded amazing, right, with all the positives. But then you get into that, it's like, geez, man, we kind of struggled to raise money for Grand. We still have no investors for Grand, even though we're not like really pounding the pavement on that anymore. We're kind of happy where we are at. However, raising $1 million is, we failed to raise. We tried to get 400 for Grand, and we struck out. And so now raising $1 million seems even more challenging, let alone finding a bank that will go out and help us with the financing. So there's that deal. Overall, I still like it, but it is what it is. The latter half of the reasons not to do that may weigh the pros, right? Something in 10 years I'm going to regret. However, at this point in time, you can go broke buying good deals. So don't want to do that. That's deal number 1 on Thomas Retail Center. Deal number 2, I saw it today. And this one is an industrial building, about 11,000 square foot. It's a clear span building, so it's wide open in the middle. There's these big old, not trusses, but like, gee whiz, it's late here. I don't even know what they're called. However, they hold up the building and there's no posts in the middle, put it that way. So it's like a big, gigantic hockey rink. Now, there is a wall down the middle that does not look like it's load bearing. It is a cement wall, but it's there just as a divider. So other than that, there's nothing in the middle. You could drive. You can go do donuts in there. You could go turn it into a skate park, blah, 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 blah. It, funny story is, so this one's in South Phoenix. South Phoenix is not a great area. There were junkyard dogs, wild dogs hanging out on the property next door. There was literally a homeless dude who built a cool little freaking cool guy homeless shelter who was sleeping on the property, didn't even wake up. We were sitting there talking probably a foot and a half away from this dude, didn't even flinch, probably twacked out of his mind. I was quasi paying attention to see if he would maybe, make some moves on us or freak him out or something like that, depending on what type of drugs he's on. But he was passed out, man. 9 a.m. Those guys are out cold. So that was cool. Just to give you an idea, there was some cracky lady. I'm pretty sure she was shirtless, riding a bike down the middle of the road. Tweaked out of her mind. So that's the type of area it is. This one's on Lincoln Street, and there's not much space. It's a half-acre lot, but the building pretty much takes up, more than a quarter of it, more than a half of that lot. Let's see. So it's a half acre. I don't even think it is a half acre. We're 11,000, 20,000. Yeah. So there's 9,000 square foot of space outside. Here's the unusual part. Oh, funny story. The broker's going into this story. He's like, hey, I'm only, telling you this because I know you. The owner, or the former owner, got divorced. His ex-wife got this property in the divorce. Apparently, he committed fraud and he skipped out on town and he mentioned his name. And I look at him, I go, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is the same owner that owned Thunderbird that foreclosed on it and gave it back to the bank. Same dude. And I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Because, so that guy ran a bunch of different businesses. He owned the CPA firm that the Thunderbird was in. He apparently owned a glass window business, an efficient window business, and some type of solar company, whether it was solar distribution or something. So this guy ripped out all of the existing power. He got disconnected from public utilities, at least the electrical. Completely ran off solar powered and batteries. So I open up the APS box to see what's left behind. There is nothing there. I've never seen that before. There are literally wires coming from a pole into this cabinet, and the cabinet is empty, gone, nothing in it. Crazy. So I would have to rewire this entire place, get service set up with APS, run conduit, run switches. Everything needs to be redone as far as electrical goes. And it's full of junk. I'm going to do another video of that on Instagram. So if, you know what, let's do a cool guy share screen here. If you are watching, you can check out some pictures here. I'll do some live action pictures here to show you guys exactly kind of what that building looks like. And here we are. You can see it's full of junk. And this is nothing, guys. This is nothing. This is just a little drop in the bucket. Junk everywhere. It's kind of crazy. There's this little inside area he built, like a double decker. Actually, he didn't build it. It was here already. But it's just terrible, gross. That has to get redone. There are 4. See, look at all this stuff here. Look at all this. Look at all these solar panels. Hundreds of solar panels. I imagine it's going to cost 20, 30 grand in a week to get rid of all this junk. Here's that the bill or the cabinet I was talking about. Nothing. Gone. Just those 2 scary power wires sitting right there. Hey, there's the homeless dude. I took a picture of him. So you could see his Nikes. There we go. So that was that. I'll also make a video, post some more pictures on Instagram so you guys can see that video. Now they are asking $1.6 million. It is probably worth that. Uh, Not even fixed up. I think it's worth maybe a little bit more fixed up. So they're not asking anything overlandish. However, the amount of work that this property needs is going to be crazy. This is one where I think it'd be perfect to split it up into at least two, maybe three. You could do four because there are four different access doors and they're huge. They're like 18 feet plus, which is really beneficial depending on what type of business you have. However, with parking and everything and the way the lot's set up, like I mentioned, the lot's not very big. So not a ton of room for parking on the property. Now there is street parking, which would be fine. There's three major entrances. That's why I think three is the magic number for this. One big one and two smaller ones. And I like that. I like having multi-tenant. Having one tenant pay 12 grand triple net for an 11,000 square foot building, a lot less likely. And then if one guy messes up and goes bankrupt or business goes down, then you're SOL, right? So having three different tenants is pretty appealing to me. Now, the budget for this, I FaceTimed my electrician, Tyler. Shout out, Tyler. He really didn't have an idea, to be honest. The first number he shot out was 50 G's, which I thought was going to be wildly under what it would cost. I don't know. I have no idea what APS would want to reconnect. I imagine they'd be excited about it and would work out some deal and maybe offer some kind of credit on getting power set up back there. They would be thrilled. I mean, what business wouldn't be thrilled if you called them and said, "Hey, can I be your customer, please? Let me pay you $1,000 a month." So there's just a lot of unknowns on that one. We would have to remove that big gigantic structure, that two-story structure that's inside. If we were going to break it into three different tenants, we would have to then go out and get water lines and sewer lines cut into the concrete and laid out and build three bathrooms, build some offices, get the power set up in there, clean up the lot. So it's like, is it a lot? I mean, it's kind of like a sneaky one. The first one definitely needs more work. There's no doubt about that. Industrial can be a lot less pretty than retail. Now, my broker did say they're offering this, I think, $140 a square foot purchase price. My broker said, hey, if this was cleaned up, not much is get the power hooked up, get some lights, get some electricity to the building and clean it up a little bit. You could sell that for maybe, $180 a square foot was pretty reasonable. So you're talking about a $40 a square foot profit on 11,000 square foot building. That's 440 G's. That's not bad on a quick little flip. Maybe you're talking a year, something like that. That's pretty attractive. So there are options on this one. Overall, I like this one better. It's a much lower price point. They're very excited to do seller financing, which is fantastic to me. That's just easier. It's a better deal most of the time. And you don't got to deal with the bank, which I hate dealing with banks. And then it's just less work overall, right? This is less things going on. Surety of close is really nice. So also the ex-wife is in real estate. She does fix and flip houses. I have no idea what the relationship was like with her ex-husband who was on the run, but I asked the broker, I was like, why doesn't she just take this on and get this cleaned up? Because it's not like if you're in real estate and you fix and flip houses, this is not out of the realm. This is not anything crazy. So I'd like to know that precisely. I have a feeling it's just bitter towards this particular building, bitter towards her ex-husband, would be my guess, based on what I know. They bought it for like 500 grand, like 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like 7 years ago, something like that. So it's like, dude, they got plenty of room. I'm imagining she sees this as a free building. She's playing really tough with the broker right now. However, no offers have been submitted. The previous broker to list it didn't get any offers at all. They just got 3 showings in 6 months. So if I feel, I have a great relationship with Preston, the broker, so he will go to bat for me and present those offers. I have a feeling that this one's a lot more likely to work with me on the terms. And as always, making terms offers, they don't have to be that a very low dollar amount. The terms that we get might be very exciting. Maybe we even offer like a 0% down or something like that, and maybe get the asking price and do that, right? I don't know. However, that's the overall deal on that one. I'm much more excited about that. That seems more feasible. It seems more doable. Raising a few $100,000, 3, 4, 500,000 instead of $1 million. The upside is not as great as the other one. It's just a standard, dirty, rotten industrial building in a very industrial part of town. Will be good for the portfolio. Maybe it's a flip. I don't really want to flip anything, but making 400,000 does sound pretty cool. I don't know. Oh, and then selling, my broker said, hey, going to an end user, that way you don't have to lease it up. You could just sell it directly empty, fixed up to a new tenant is a lot more viable than leasing it to a single tenant. So there's that. Now, overall, like I mentioned, I'm not really excited to get into a deal. Even if I got a fantastic deal on something, would I be excited about it? Again, yes and no. If we had Thunderbird all leased up, that'd be a different story. I'd be hot to trot. I'd be actively looking for deals. We still aren't getting regular payments from Grand, so that's why I call that like half stabilized. So there's that too. I don't need that one to get fixed or him to get on the normal schedule to get out and find more deals, but I do need Thunderbird to get done. So I'm in a position where it's hard to pass up on these deals, right? So what I'm going to do, I don't know. The first one I might not even make an offer on, to be honest. I don't know the broker that well, and that deal just sounds a little bit messy, and it's a big dollar value amount, and I've learned that the bigger dollar amounts you do, the more stress there is, and Daddy's trying to reduce some stress right now, not add some more. Now doing a normal, $1.5 million deal is a lot more appealing to me, a lot more palatable, if you will. So maybe I won't offer, and this is what I love about this podcast, too. I'm just able to get out here and spout off things and then think about it and see what makes sense. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm probably not going to offer on that first building, but I will offer on that second one. But I told Preston, I was like, hey, I'm going to make an offer, but it's going to be gross. It's not going to be good. And his face wasn't very exciting. However, it will let me know where the seller's at and see if we can play some ball, because I operate on feeling a lot. When I walked both of those buildings, I definitely had a good feeling about both, but walking that second building, I got a much more energetic, much more positive feeling from it. Maybe it's because I'm more comfortable with it. Probably would be my guess. Industrial, I'm more familiar, and I know what to look for, and the dirtiness of it and the looks of it doesn't really affect me as much. So I think that's probably the best plan of action, is to go in there and make a very aggressive offer that makes my stomach kind of hurt to make. And that way, if I don't get it, it is what it is. Maybe that's a win-win. Maybe it's a sign that I'm not supposed to be doing a deal. Or if I do get it or get something close to that, man, that's a really, really good deal, because getting great deals, buying good deals, you can go broke, but buying great deals, can you still go broke? Does that make sense? I don't know. We're about to find out. So I guess that's a good plan. I feel like I like it. I want to go in there and just make a really, really, really strong offer for me, not strong for the seller, and see where that goes. So that's what I've been up to today and last week, checking out some buildings when I shouldn't. But here we are. So I'll keep you guys up to date, let you know how that ends up, and we'll see if we're going to get building number 3 in the works. I mean, built 3 buildings in less than 6 months. 7 months would be kind of asinine, but that's what I do. So, I'm just thinking of all the sleepless nights that I had on the first 2, and here we are. But like I said, I'm not counting on it, not getting excited about it. I'm just going to look at it from a deal standpoint, make the offer. If it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't, and move on and go from there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I am happy that I'm not dead. I hope you are happy that I'm not dead. I am not happy that I'm not a billionaire. So maybe you guys are not happy that I'm not a billionaire neither. That would make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I am back. I am here. I will make up that episode, I promise. And I appreciate you guys sticking around, checking in on me, making sure that I'm not dead, which is great. It's fun. I like it. And that's a wrap. Guys, I really appreciate you listening again. Leave a 5-star review for me, please, even if you think I'm terrible. Write a 5-star review and tell me how bad this episode was. If you have friends or families or acquaintances that you think would get value out of listening to a podcast like this, please share that with them and have them leave a 5-star review for me. Also, follow me on Instagram, john.kleisch. Kleisch is how you spell it. I post videos, updates, pictures, stories related to what I'm doing here so you guys can stay up to date in between weekly episodes. And guys, that's a wrap. 30 minutes. This might be our longest podcast yet. But on that note, we're wrapping it up. Adios, guys. Until next time, take her easy.